And can you share a little bit about your background?
Grew up with my mom and my stepdad for the most part till like 12 um, in Chico, and then we moved to Pennsylvania, lived there for a few years, and then moved back to Chico again. And then when I started high school, my mom and stepdad divorced, and my mom and I moved to Santa Cruz, and I lived there for about 25 years. And then I moved here to Riverside or Michigan for 3 months, but I don't want to count. Here to Riverside because my mom had moved down here like prior, and she had heart problems. She had an open heart surgery. I ended up taking care of her, but she moved to San Marcos, and now here I am still in Riverside. Yeah.
And how many years have you been here?
I think 6 now.
Oh, 6.
Yeah.
And what's your current living situation?
Okay. I'm homeless. I've been homeless for 2.5 years now, and yeah.
And how's that been?
Definitely the most challenging thing I've ever done in my life. I never ever imagined being homeless. My family is pretty well off. My mom ended up getting her master's degree in her later years as a teacher, and so she was making 6 figures. And I mean, I was never wanting for anything really, but I had a really good work ethic, and I always worked myself. But started getting into drugs more heavily. I've always had an addictive personality. I think definitely depression, ADHD, OCD for sure, and cocaine kind of like helped that, but it's really expensive. But somehow I managed to afford cocaine and living in Santa Cruz, but I can't afford meth use in Riverside, so that's why I am homeless now. I got evicted from my house.
And is that your current drug of choice right now, meth?
Methamphetamines, yeah. Yeah, I think it helps the ADHD, honestly.
And then when did you start using meth? How long ago?
Well, I tried it once, like 15 years ago, and very quickly got in trouble. I was arrested with a federal felony, and a felony for possession, and but it was my first offense as an adult, and they kind of just gave me a really lenient sentence. It doesn't show up on like any of my background when my name is run. But then I picked it up again, I'd say 3.5, 4 years ago. No, 4 years ago. Yeah, something like that.
And do you remember the reason why you started using methamphetamine?
Well, because it was cheaper, and the high lasted a lot longer than Coke.
But was there somebody that like introduced it to you, or did you just?
Well, the first time, very, very first time, I mean, like, yeah, someone introduced it to me. It was actually this guy that lived at my mom's house, like a friend of hers. He was younger than her, older than me. I was probably 15, I think, the first time I tried it. But then later, when I got into trouble, I was in my mid-20s. And that was just out of like, I was at a bar after working for St. Patrick's Day, I think. And yeah, I had that instead of Coke.
And then from there on out, you kind of just stayed with that drug?
No, I got clean actually after I had the 2 felonies, and they wiped it from my record essentially. I got into recovery. Santa Cruz has a really, really strong recovery within the town. Like there are 3 treatment centers that are pretty nationally known, and like AA or NA, both of those are really, really, really big. It's a really strong recovery community in Santa Cruz. So I just fell into that, honestly. And the most time I accrued sober was 4 years. And that was like the best. I mean, as far as being an addict and like using drugs, being involved in the recovery process and actually doing the 12 steps at some point in my life has really helped me personally just navigate the life I'm in now a lot, and basically really navigate me, because it's easy to get lost. It's way easy to get lost and like, like you're an addict for a reason. You're trying to fill, and they say this in the rooms, like you're trying to fill a God-sized hole, right? Sorry, my mouth's so
That's
dry.
okay.
But and you fill it with whatever you can like get your hands on or whatever like feels the best because everyone has a different like need. I have this theory with people who use opioids, you know, the downers like heroin or like fentanyl or whatever. My theory. They had something really tragic happen to them, like bad, and they don't want to remember. They don't want to think about it because like being alive and being aware and like conscious, they're just reminded of the trauma, and so they need to nod out. They need to just fall out and not think of anything. And then the people that are on like meth, like myself, we lost something really big to us. Like for me, I lost my house and my fiance and my dog and my family and all of my belongings, my car in one fell swoop. And, I've been like trying to find it again, but I, you know, can't really get
Is,
that safe.
is meth something that you use every day?
Yes.
And how does that play a role in your daily life?
Well, I mean, like my whole life is essentially centered around it because I have been I kicked myself out, I guess, of like the normal society by getting evicted and not choosing to like focus on getting a job again. And so you fall into the crowd of people that are doing what you're doing or living how you're living. So that's us here on the street. And it's not easy being on the streets. You almost have to be high in order to tolerate it.
And what challenges do you face living on the streets
Everything.
and dealing with this addiction?
People act at a much more feral level than civilization. So expect violence as an immediate response to any action, and also any action is criticized and judged. Every action in the smallest of things, you know, like people get, I don't know personally anybody who has, but you know, you hear in songs, people get killed from bikes getting stolen, and it's like a bike, right? But out here, bike is so important because we don't have fucking cars. But yeah, so there's that, and the rules, like the like the respect that's required or earned, is a lot different. You know, you have to tread lightly, and you have to act accordingly. And if you don't, then you're gonna get called out for sure. As a woman, there's obviously the threat of sexual assault, physical assault. Um, you know, misogyny is alive and well, as is racism. And I being this upper middle class white woman, raised like everything's fine. Don't look over there. You know, don't worry about any of that. That's not your problem. You're fine. Like, come out here and you're the minority, and they're going to show you what's up. So it was probably one of the most devastating things for me to like realize that when I landed out here with no house and my family disowning me and my fiance leaving me, and like everybody that I cared about didn't want me around. And so I realized that if I'd gone missing, or if that I went missing, no one would know for a really long time because no one cared, because they like left me out here.
So do you have any family right now that you talk to? So there's nobody. You're out here by yourself. And what about any resources? Are there any resources that you can depend on?
I mean, they're really good about feeding the homeless. There are like many churches and churches mainly that every day there's some place you can go eat. I was involved in a program through the county, but they kind of really mishandled my situation. And it resulted in me losing everything again and being put on the street again. So it's kind of like re-traumatizing, like like reliving what sent me out here to begin with.
So what does a typical day look like for you?
Um, Honestly, riding my bike a lot. I I know a lot of people because like I said, I was worried about not being found or noticed if I met some end. So I made myself really loud and loud by like I caused a scene. I did things. I stole a lot of bikes. Um, and therefore I gained a lot of allies, I guess, or people that want me on their team, even though you can't trust anybody out here. Nobody cares about you,
People know
really.
you're here though.
Yeah,
So you've kind of created your own team that would know if you went missing.
yeah, definitely, yes. And even the ones that aren't on my team would know because I had a lot of haters. They know when I'm not around.
And would you say it's pretty dangerous out here for
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
What are some of those challenges?
I mean, I don't see them. I know them because you have to know your enemy. And I mean, I don't see them is because I'm literally swimming in a pool of sharks and I'm a shark too, but I'm not a shark. I don't know if that makes sense, but like some
Yeah.
of my friends are really violent people and I don't know that about them because I've never seen that about them. But if you look at their record, you know, and that's really strange for me. You have to do a lot of disassociation, really, because you have to survive and you have to have a community because, like, we cannot do things all on our own. And if those people in your community are not the best people, I mean, what are you to do? You can't like isolate yourself away from them because you need them. So if you've done no wrong to them and they've done no wrong to you, then they're your team. But that's weird if I think about
Yeah, it
it.
makes sense.
And one of my very, very good friends, he was shot in the face and killed last year out behind Fairmount Park. And he was a bad guy, but I never knew him like that. He helped me wash my hair for the first time. Homeless because I was such a mess. I didn't leave Fairmount Park for like a month. But I didn't know like, cause like getting access to running water, shelter, all those things are really difficult when you don't have a house and really difficult because businesses and of course, like they're not going to be like, yeah, sure. Come on in because, people blow it. Mental illness is a real thing amongst the homeless. Mental illness is definitely a big thing. And, you know, you see that in how people treat their surroundings and when you don't have, and also when the world around you treats you like you're not a real person anymore, either by ignoring you or putting you down or treating you like you're basically trash that should be in the gutter. You get mad.
Are there any people that see you and try to help you?
No, not really. I don't put myself in a position of looking like I need help. I don't try
Yeah,
to
you don't look
ask.
like you're homeless.
Yeah, I mean, it's important. You can find a way. You don't have to have an indoor shower. You can find a way to bathe. Even if it's as bad as like the river bottom and that's still water. You can make it work.
So on that subject, how do you shower?
Well, I mean, right now I have a friend who has a motel room, so,
So
but outside of that, I really go to there's a community garden that I break into and I use a hose. You can get a tool that actually, any spigot that doesn't have like a knob on it, you can put that to, or use a wrench, turn that on. I mean, I was dating this guy for a while, 2 years while I was out here. He was really big. He was a really big, like mentor, I guess you would say, for like being homeless. He had a car, which was nice, but like, shower every day, eat every day, sleep every day. Like try to keep that as a routine. And, there's a lot less like, I guess, wear and tear on you because being out here and you're like constantly under the sun and you're constantly exposed to the elements and like winter is going to suck. I'm not looking forward to it. it fucking takes a toll. And, so he showed me like, we would scout for places that we could, use the water, like a spigot that was accessible, and then create like a little shower. And then, one time we were even like in this like back of a industrial area. They were like renovating it. There's this huge like cement yard, and there was this giant hose that came from the top. It was just like a water hose, but it was like from all over from the top, came down. And, all exposed right next to the freeway. And we were like, this is where we're going to shower. And then we like created this like room, and it was wintertime. So it was fucking cold. And it's like, we don't have warm water. It's like cold water coming out. But he built a fire, and we had like aluminum, like, those like potting.
Oh, yeah, warm
and
water.
We just heated the water up and then created, so you have to think outside the box.
So before becoming homeless, when you were living your normal life, did you know how to steal water?
No.
So you learned that out here.
Dude, there's so many things that I took for granted being inside. Running water, the main one. Air conditioning. Oh my God. Being outside. That boyfriend, he moved to Vegas just recently, and I moved out there to be with him the last like attempt to hold on to our failed relationship. And Vegas is fucking hot. Like, this is like 110 degrees, 104 degrees on average every fucking day. And like, we are not inside. AC. Took that for granted. But like, you acclimate. You can acclimate. You can evolve. You have to, if you're faced with like the situation like this because of actions and choices you've made. If you don't, then you're going to fucking die. I mean, like either a soul death or like a physical death, but like, or mental death. I mean, I see a lot of people go crazy.
Yeah, they're not here anymore. They're here, but they're not here.
And there's some people that are not here anymore, like gone with the wind. And anytime someone goes like they're missing for a few days, I'm tripping out, especially if it's a girl. Because, sex trafficking is a real thing, and the river bottom's right there, and what do you think is the easiest way to transport people?
So you see a lot of those dangerous things happening out here, or at least hear of them.
I live in the river bottom. Like, I live out there, and that's like, I don't see it. I don't see a woman getting like taken or anything, but like people stop showing up, and also like, the mentally broken, like you were saying, people are fucked up. People are creeps. Like,
how do you survive? Do you have are you in a relationship right now? So how are you surviving out here when you don't have that type of protection? You're just 100 pounds and 5'2".
I have friends. I mean, like, I have friends, but I just, I'm confident in myself. But not like in fighting. I'm not a fighter, which sucks because I've gotten my ass kicked a few times. But like, I think about the situation and like where I'm at and like what's around and what could possibly happen, but not like dwelling in it where it's going to elicit like fear in me that causes me to not be present. I just, walk tall. Don't look like prey. Don't look like prey.
I like that.
Because that's what, I've heard even like they've interviewed serial like rapists or, like, or people that kill, and they're like, they look for the weakest fucking.
Right.
And, like women, prostitutes, they're usually the first ones chosen because like they don't have any family and no one's going to notice them gone. And like, and then on top of that, like indigenous, I watched this movie and they were saying actually indigenous women, they're like the one, like, cause they're not recorded. They're not reported because they don't have to report to the federal government. So they can't, obviously put it in like that number bank, but like long haul drivers going through reservations, like picking up indigenous women and killing them. Like that's like probably like the easiest mark. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that's crazy.
Yeah. They just get eaten by coyotes when they dump the body.
Right. And they're already in the next state.
Yeah.
So,
what do you think is the biggest misconception that people have about people struggling like with homelessness and addiction?
We're people. We are people. We are people. We were people before we were homeless to you. And then like what, the moment we are no longer housed, we cease being a person. I mean, like I'm still my mother's daughter and I'm still my brother's sister and I'm still my father's daughter and I'm still my friend's friend. But like, I feel like they don't see me like that anymore. And I don't understand why. And I never really understood why you would ever treat anyone with any disrespect just based on their financial situation or their living situation. I mean, if they've shown me no disrespect, why would I lessen them in my life or, you know, and like refusing like the basic of needs, you know, I mean, I've had people yell at me for like digging in their trash and like, you know, like angry. And it's like, that's their trash. And I understand the mess, but if I'm not going to leave a mess, then what's the real fucking problem? It's trash. You're throwing it away, right? But no. And, I asked a neighbor once that if I could pay them $10. This is when I was living in a house, my old neighbor, $10 if I could shower there. And they refused. Whereas like, you know, a week prior when I was in the house,
neighbor.
I was
Wow.
over at their house eating dinner, having barbecues, drinking beer.
Wow.
Can't even fucking shower. Can't even come in their house.
If you could change one thing about your situation right now, what would that be?
Maybe put more attention into like getting a job, like a real job.
Do you want to get a job?
It's so nice not having a job. And I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I mean, I'm homeless, but like, I have not really wanted for anything. I've had money, some money, you know, like whatever here or there, but like, I've never had like regular money, but I still like have all my needs met, but I have a like shorter list of needs and I don't have bills. But like, you know, I guess it goes back to like wanting to be like viewed and accepted by society as like a person that's like that valid enough but even then, it's like at this point, it's kind of like with my mom, you know, when she disowned me because of my drug use and because like that was the time that I needed her the most. I didn't know that at the time, but like looking back at that, like I needed her the most and she's been there for me up until that point. And that was when she decided to like leave, was when she was literally like dumping me on the streets, which is, I've never been homeless before ever. She's always been the one to save me. And honestly, when like things went wrong, I, why would I want to go? Why would I want, I don't, it's like, I don't want to sound disrespectful when I say this, and I don't want it to come across that I don't value family and I don't value my mother, but like, why would I want to be in a family that would do that to their child? I don't think you do that.
What do you think the lowest point has been for you out here?
It's been a lot of low points. The reality of my situation, that based on the choices that I made, resulted in people in my life reacting the way that they did and choosing to do what they did, which for me was ultimately them leaving me.
Do you still hold on to any like goals or dreams?
I've never had goals. I feel like I've never had goals. I really, honestly, I don't think I've never really had goals. And so when it comes to, do I hold on to any? No, I just live day by day, honestly.
And if you can go back to a younger version of yourself and give yourself some advice,
Oh yeah.
What kind of advice would you give yourself?
Set goals. um, don't let like your feelings of inadequacy or hurt overwhelm or overtake your life, because life is beautiful. I mean, it really, really is. as ugly as it can be, it is beautiful, and it's definitely not worth wasting it away in an alley with a bunch of dirty bums. No, but I mean, seriously, like I'm homeless and a bum, but like there are some dirty bums. And when you find yourself in situations like that, just like take a look inward and outward and make some changes.
If you could have any person watch this video, who would that be, and what would you want to tell them?
It would probably be my friend Bones who died. Just, I don't think he realized, I don't think he knew like just how important he was to me. And that even though he stole my shit, and even though he had me beat up, and, even though he was way inappropriate a lot of the time, when he saw me and he saw me crying over some dumb motherfucker that wouldn't stop beating on me, he would stop and he would talk to me and he would tell me what was up, and he would just ride with me. And he would never be anything but there. And that was like,
How did you stop the beating?
I didn't. I mean, I left. I finally left. I just finally left. I left. He left me all the time, but that was different. I had to leave. Because otherwise I was going to die. Like I referred back to, like, either I was going to die, like my spirit was going to die, or like I was physically going to die. He wasn't going to stop. And as much as I didn't want to believe that, because I loved him or the idea of him, and to like understand that someone is like physically hurting you one moment and then like loving you the next, it's like very complex. It's a very complex situation. But yeah, me leaving, that's how I left. He took everything. I walked away with a backpack full of like bullshit. I didn't even have a phone. I just got on that bus and I left. Yeah.
And just for clarification, you're okay with us using this on social media?
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, if anybody wants to bless you with anything, do you have by any chance a Venmo or a Cash App that you want to give out there?
Yeah, I have a Cash App. Sorry, Cash App. This hoe broke. It's literally this hoe broke.
Spell it for
THISHOBROKE.
Okay, and then
Yeah.
and is there like an icon on there so they can know it's you, and someone doesn't add a period, and then now everyone's sending the money to somebody else?
Oh no, I got my picture.
It just has your picture?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
This hoe broke.